Hey guys, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm Rocco, and today we are talking about mistakes that I'm not saying you do. You might not make any of these mistakes, you might make a few, but there are just certain problems with FUT Champs that's probably certain reasons why you're not winning. Now, these might seem very small, but they actually, if you add them all together, they make a huge difference. Now, the team I've got on the screen is very, very similar to a team I come up against in FUT Champs this weekend. Now, this team, obviously it's a really meta team, nice team, but there's a few issues with it, and we're going to go straight into point number one, and we're going to talk that through. So my first point is player positions. Now, when I get into FUT Champs games and I get into the loading screen, I see teams and I'm like, okay, it's a nice team. And then there's just players that are in the wrong positions. Now, obviously, this is just starting formation. So if you set up your custom tactics, you can move your players around and put them exactly where they need to be on the pitch. However, in this team, for example, everyone's on Chem other than Varane. Now, this is so simple to get Varane on chemistry without actually without putting anyone else off Chem. So if we have a little diverge into it, it's very simple to get Varane on chemistry here. He's got the perfect link to Mendy, so he only needs one soft link. Obviously, I understand this guy's got Pope in goal to give Joe Gomez the full Chem because he doesn't get the strong link to Semedo. But it's a simple switch. Bruno Fernandes for Pogba. There you go. Now, Bruno's still on chemistry because he's got the strong links from Martial and Pogba, and obviously a soft link to Havertz as well. And then on the left, Dembele doesn't need chemistry because he gets the strong link to Mendy. Now, Varane goes straight up to 10 Chem. Now, you could say I'm nitpicking here by saying, okay, you know, Varane's fine on 7 Chem or 8 Chem, whatever you want to put him on, depending on managers and things like that. But if you have the opportunity to get all of your players on 10 chemistry, 9 chemistry, whatever, why not do it? So this is kind of like the first point, and I've seen loads of other examples where people are like using Renato Sanchez, for example, and they've got an icon sitting here at striker. If you move the icon to the midfield and then put Renato at striker, you've got, say, Bruno and, I don't know, CR7. Then you've got Renato on chemistry as well for the Portuguese links. Now, this is the best formation to get all players on chemistry, the 4-5-1 for sure. So just have a little look at your team. I get a lot of people come into my stream saying, can you review my team? I look at their teams and then I'm like, well, you've done exactly this. You've put players in the wrong places and they're not on chemistry. So the first point I would say, that mistake that you might be making, is the player positions. Now, the second point is Chem Styles. Now, you can argue with Chem Styles, like what's best on different players. Does Dembele need a sniper? Does he need a hunter? That's kind of a personal preference. But I've seen players with hunters on their centre-backs. Now, why on earth would anyone have a hunter on Varane? A hunter on Varane boosts his pace up perfectly, which is what you need, but you're boosting his shooting. Why? I've seen catalysts on fullbacks, which I get to kind of, but realistically, you need their defensive stats boosted. Now, if you're running a player that's got over 90 pace, realistically, they do not need a pace boost. You can give them a pace boost, but for example, someone like Semedo, the perfect Chem style, is an anchor. This gives him a boost of pace to 96 acceleration, 98 sprint speed, and then you get the defending and the physical boost. Lots of people have a shadow on Semedo, which is, in my opinion, pointless. Why would you want to boost his pace up even more and then lose the physical boost? So he's going to go, what, to 99 sprint speed and 99 acceleration? Is there much difference between 96 and 99? Probably not. So Chem Styles is a big thing. I've seen, you know, hunters on CDMs, depending on where you play them. I play Bruno as a box-to-box or as a CDM in the 4-2-3-1, and the stats he needs boosting are his pace and his defending. So I use a shadow on him. If I was going to use him at Cam, which I wouldn't recommend at all, I would be boosting his shooting, but it doesn't need boosting. He's already got 91 attacking positioning. Okay, his finishing's not great, but unless you're using him like on the last man, you don't necessarily need much better shooting. He's got great shot power, great long shots, passing, dribbling, doesn't need increasing. So for me, I use a shadow. So just take a little look at your team and what Chem Styles you're using. If you guys have got any questions about it, you can come in my live stream and ask me which Chem Styles to use on each player. Or you can also check on Footbin. which will tell you the votes on the best chem style for players. Don't always go by this, but it definitely will give you a good insight into which stats and which players need which chem styles. Point number 3 then is having a balanced team. Now, I don't think this is actually technically that bad in terms of a balanced team. I don't necessarily use a CDM myself, but it's very crucial to have a defensive-minded player in your team. I've played the 4-2-3-1 with Pogba and Bruno playing CDMs, but you kind of do need somebody, especially if you're struggling, that's going to give you that defensive boost. So instead of a Pogba here, you'd need a Kante, an Allen, somebody like that. I'm talking Prem teams. Now, not having a balanced team is really, it makes it more difficult. You might be really good at attacking, but you're conceding way too many goals, which is probably what I do at the same time. But it's very, very important to have a balanced team. You need to have enough defensive players and enough attacking players as well. This team is ridiculously attacking, and it kind of just leaves Pogba and Bruno in front of your defenders, whereas you kind of want them in attacking positions as well. Pogba and Bruno are excellent box-to-box players. If you're playing kind of the 4-4-2, you could recommend using these two players. But if you are playing the 4-2-3-1, you need a defensive-minded player to sit in front of your defense. Whether that's a Kante, whether that's a Gattuso, a pure CDM that you have on stay back while attacking. And a lot of players don't have that. I've looked at teams when I go into FUT Champs, it loads up, and I sit there and I'm like, this guy doesn't even have one defensive player. Like, what on earth? I press pause and look at their formations. They're playing the 4-2-3-1 with Havertz and Ziyech playing CDMs, and instantly you just know. So take a hard look at this as well. Make sure your team's balanced. That is tip number 3. Honestly, just take a look, make sure it is balanced. Point number 4 then is a point that I talk about all the time. I've spoke about it in my custom tactics. You need more than one formation. I come up against guys that I look at their team and I'm like, this can only play one formation. He can only play, say, the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. He can only play 4-4-2. He can only play 4-2-3-1. And then I get into a game. He's a good player, but he doesn't have any more tactics set up. So, you know, it's 1-1 at half time, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to change this up. I can see he's still playing the 4-4-2. I'm going to swap to either the 4-4-2 if I believe I can counter his exact formation, or I'll go into the 4-2-3-1 to mix it up, and I dominate. And then my opponent has no answer. A lot of the time, I will then pause the game and check after, say, 80 minutes, 90 minutes, not 90 minutes, 80 minutes, 85 minutes, and see if they've actually tried to do something different. And they sit in the same formation for 90 minutes. You are never going to push up a rank if you only have one formation set up. Obviously, the top players can do it, but casuals, even diehards, say you're sitting gold 2 and you get 19 wins on a weekend league, and you've only got one formation set up, I'm telling you, if you add an extra formation and you add an extra dynamic to your game, you will probably hit that gold 1 in the first week of doing this. So make sure you have 2 formations set up. And finally then, point number 4 is playing players in their, not the correct position, because I don't feel like there's any correct position to play a player, but having them in the position they're most useful. Say, for example, you're running this team. Let's take out Dembele here. And we shall put in, I think I've got Rashford in my club. Yeah, I do. Let's put Rashford in there, for example. If you've got this sort of team, in my, say I play 4-2-3-1, I don't want Rashford playing left and Martial at striker. Martial is 3-star, 4-star, I believe. 4-star, 3-star, sorry. So, and then you've got Rashford, who's 5-star, 4-star. Well, realistically, Rashford's got better shooting stats than Martial. He's faster as well. I want Rashford on the last man. Rashford is the most effective at striker. So in this team, I would be in-game swapping it to Rashford striker and Martial on the left. Exactly the same. There's a lot of left-hand-sided players that play better in a different position. So Heung-min Son, for example, is another one. Neymar, do not play Neymar out wide. Like Neymar, I see loads and loads of teams, because everyone on this FIFA somehow has an amazing team. Neymar and Mbappe. They've got Neymar, Mbappe, and Ronaldo, CR7. They play CR7 striker, they play Mbappe cam, and then they play Neymar on the left. You're wasting Neymar on the left if you've got Mbappe at cam. Mbappe is probably arguably the best gold left attacking mid on the game. So if you've got Neymar, play him cam and play Mbappe on the left. You need to take into consideration players' stats and where they play best. Obviously, if Mbappe is your main player and you're sitting there, I don't know, with a Pogba, Martial on the left, you've got Dembele, then of course, play Mbappe at striker. But if you've got better players, play them in the positions that suits their style of play. This Ziyech card, for example, this informed right wing, he's actually a really good card. I like him, although he's only got a 2-star weak foot, but he's not a wide player. This card needs to play central. I played against this card. He played on the right, and my left back at the minute is... I can't actually remember. Oh, I've got Adama Traore on the left. His new... whichever card it is, his special card. And... like, Ziyech had absolutely no chance. I had no trouble on that left-hand side whatsoever. You need pace on the wings. Your right mids, if you're playing 4-4-2, your Rams, if you're playing 4-2-3-1, they need to have pace. And this Ziyech card has the stats to play central, but he's not a wide player. So really take into consideration where you're playing cards. I have this argument in my stream all the time that players like Pogba and De Bruyne, they're not cams. They're better box-to-box, playing them CDM as long as you've got like a defensive CDM with them. Bruno Fernandes realistically isn't a cam either. He's a box-to-box, probably the best box-to-box bar icon on the game at the minute. So make sure you are playing players in the correct positions. Now, I hope this has helped. If you need any more clarification on any of these things, come to my live stream. I will explain it to you. You can let me know down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you're not already subscribed to the channel and you do enjoy this kind of content, make sure you do hit that subscribe button, hit the bell as well. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.